You can spend weeks, even months, traveling up and down Delmarva, learning about each town's unique history.
And some of that history can be seen in buildings and other landmarks that have been preserved over the years. For the town of Ocean View in Sussex County, that preservation came late. The Historical Society was formed less than a decade ago, but what they've done in that short amount of time takes visitors back hundreds of years.
As a member of the Ocean View Historical Society, Barbara Salvin contributes a lot. That's because several generations of her family made their life here. In fact, the historical Tunnel West house is named for some of her family members.
The Tunnels were my grandmother's maiden name, and West was my other grandmother's maiden name, and the man that we are assuming built this house was my great-grandfather.
That's how she knows certain facts about the town, like the fact that it wasn't always called Ocean View.
It was not called Ocean View to begin with. It was called Hall's Store, and there was a store not far from here on this same road, and it was a general store. Post office was included in the store, and it was started, of course, by a man named Mr. Hall.
That was in the early 1800s. It wasn't until the late 1800s that the town got its current name.
Somebody, as the fable goes, climbed up into the attic of their house, looked out and saw the ocean, and they thought, you know what would really be a good name for this town is Ocean View.
That's also around the time the Tunnel West house was built. But the man who built it didn't actually live in it. He died 3 years later.
And his daughter, who was Eliza Ann Tunnel, was married at that time to George West, and they took over ownership of the house.
When Eliza and George's daughter grew up, George built her a post office to work in, which can now be found behind the Tunnel West house.
It's the original one, and it was actually down the street, and they moved it down here. And we caught it just within, honestly, days of when she was thinking of destroying it, the woman that owned it.
It's all part of the Ocean View Historical Society's complex. It started with the Tunnel West house 8 years ago. Barbara says the town used the house for offices, but was ready to abandon it due to its condition.
The Historical Society said that they would be interested in trying to save it, and the town now rents it to us for $1 a year.
The first step was to get the house on the historic registry. After that, people from around Ocean View pitched in to help with the restoration project. Today, the Tunnel West house serves as a museum, complete with artifacts dating back to the Victorian era.
That's a wonderful part of the story, is the artifacts that have been donated to us. We have pretty much, if we want something, we kind of put out the word, and it seems to come to us. So we're really fortunate. Because right now it looks like a regular house. Sometimes I think I might come over and live here.
There are even artifacts outside the house, like this working pump and this outhouse built for two. But perhaps the building that helps tell the story of Ocean View's claim to fame is this replica of a chicken house. It's just like the one the first flock of commercial broiler fryer chickens was raised in by Ocean View resident Cecile Steele. This happened when Steele was sent 10 times the amount of chicks for her home flock, thus giving Ocean View bragging rights as the birthplace of the commercial chicken industry.
We are, again, really fortunate to have all kinds of artifacts in there that are really authentic, as far as a corn shucker and some of the biddy heaters and those type of things.
As for the future, the Ocean View Historical Society hopes to add another structure from the past, Hall's Store.
We wouldn't make it into a store. It would be our visitors center. Maybe the front part would have some recreation of what a store would have looked like. But it will have the porches just like stores did back in the early part of the century.
Making this plot of land just a few steps from the town park a step back in time.
And Barbara said the Historical Society doesn't have a picture of what Hall's Store looked like, so they're basically guessing. Now, if you happen to have a picture, or if you have any other artifacts that you would like to donate, you can go to our website, WBOC.com, click on our picture at the top of the page.
That's neat.
It is neat.
That is very neat. Okay, now that your barbecue from last weekend's in the history books, what you gonna do with all the leftovers? Up next on DelmarvaLife, we are in the DelmarvaLife kitchen learning how to make a barbecue chicken pizza.
And later it's time for dessert. We're making ice cream floats. Oh, one for each and every member of your summer crew. And since we're headed to the kitchen, let's check in with Rachel Ray for a handy how-to tip on how to clean your cutting board.
You know, my kitchen counters at work and at home are made out of butcher blocks, so I can work literally anywhere in my kitchen. But whether you have a butcher block board at home, a wooden cutting board, or even if you're using a rubber board, I find the first step of cleaning starts with salt. Lifts up all the colors, and it's a nice abrasive to get your cutting boards and your cutting surfaces clean. Then freshen it up with a little lemon juice. And if you are using wood, don't forget to rub it with a little mineral oil to keep it nice and moist.